Well, now here we have a scale and a beautiful 110-year-old bub toy wind-up clockwork. Now, we have a suction cup that apparently weighs 10 grams. Take it off, put it on. Whatever. Anyway, let's do a little experiment to see if anything's going to push that suction cup down when I activate or create a vacuum. Here's some little tissue strands that move very easily. Any pressure applied to them and they react accordingly. Now, I'm going to use this suction cup. I'm going to disperse the air, push down, push the air out, create a vacuum, and you can see there's a vacuum in there. There's suction. What's this? Why does it weigh the same? Why does it appear to be no change in any weight or pressure? There's a vacuum in there. I can almost pick this thing up. You see that? It's right off the 200-year-old dresser top. And it apparently weighs the same. So there's no pressure pushing down on that suction cup. When I show you the definition of suction, you should understand why. Okay? And I don't care what some guy in a white lab coat told you, pushing philosophical nonsense. These atheist liars who will not believe anything that points in any direction to a creator. That's their problem. The flat earth topic has components in it that point straight away to a creator. Okay? And if you ignore things based on some philosophical ground, that's just not the proper avenue to find out the truth. Now, let's do this again. Let's turn it off. Let's turn it on. Let's see what this suction cup weighs. I got it for grams. 10 grams. Let's see again. 10 grams. Now I'm going to turn it around and I'm going to push it down to push out the air from within the suction cup and create a vacuum. Now there's your vacuum. There's your procure adhesion part. There's a vacuum in there. Okay? But it's only picking up the weight of the suction cup itself. Nothing else. And you can see the toilet paper is unaffected. There is nothing pushing down on that suction cup. It is suction. And the definition of suction is the production of a vacuum by the removal of air to force matter, fluid, into a vacant space or to procure adhesion. Okay, now you got these heretics out there that want you to believe that outside pressure is pushing down on everything, but we don't feel it. So it's some other kind of pressure, albeit from what Google defines pressure, or wherever they get their definition and put on the screen on Google, which I'll show you. Now you can see that anything here moves that toilet paper. Okay, if there was any other pressure besides me breathing on it, you would see it. Alright, now there's the suction cup. It weighs between 10 and 11 grams. Let's turn it off. Let's turn it on. Calibrate. Put the thing on it. It registers now as 11 grams. Now, I'm going to push the air out and create a vacuum. Now there's a vacuum in there. Okay, and the procured adhesion is achieved because of suction. I can pick it up. You see that? Because of the suction within the suction cup that the vacuum produces. So this nonsense about vacuums not being anything with the absence of air or matter, that's ridiculous. Okay, because there is what is called suction. A vacuum creates suction. Vacuums do suck. And there's nothing pushing down. You can see the scale. You can do this yourself. There, you see, if any pressure would knock that toilet paper out, it would affect it. There's no pressure pushing this thing down to keep it here. It's ridiculous. It's inside. There's a vacuum in there. Okay, I pushed the air out and created a vacuum. Now let's review what they tell you on Google, but they don't count on you to equate with the vacuum of outer space. They tell us outer space is an infinite and expanding vacuum universe, billions of light years across. So if this dresser top was the infinite vacuum, like a little speck, that would be Earth, per any reasonable scale. And that little speck surrounded by a vacuum. And they want you to believe the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans would not boil or bubble away, and no matter would be sucked into an infinite and expanding vacuum universe. Now, let's see what suction is. It's the production of a vacuum. Vacuums suck. And if outer space were an infinite and expanding vacuum universe, 90 billion light years wide and across, life would be impossible. Even their orbits would be impossible because the suction would not allow any orbit. Okay, suction is power. Look, I can pick that scale up because to procure adhesion. The suction cup procures itself through adhesion by suction to this thing. And that's what suction does. It's because of a vacuum, not because anything is pushing down. You could put this under a shelf with the shelf blocking, and you'd still have the suction. It's ridiculous why these people will not face reality. They make up ambient pressure, static pressure. They want you to believe that there's a pressure underneath the toilet paper, in between the toilet paper and the suction cup, that underneath the toilet paper, it's pushing this thing down. How can it push down when pressure is the physical contact of something pushing or pressing on something else? The scale's not picking it up. There's nothing pushing down on this suction cup. And when I release the vacuum, there's no change in weight because it's only the weight of this vacuum, or of the suction cup, that is registering. Now let's look at suction and pressure. Okay, I got the light on. But anyway, pressure. Google, what is pressure? The continuous physical force exerted on or against an object by something in contact with it. Okay? Now, you got that type of pressure, then you got the other pressure, you pressure someone to decide in your favor, or this or that. But the pressure I'm talking about is the continuous physical force on or against an object by something in contact with it. Therefore, over here they got their little language, symbology, calculation, equation. Okay, and that's all fine and dandy with a two-dimensional representation. Okay, you can make P stand for anything, F stand for anything, and A stand for anything. It doesn't, the only thing that exhibits reality is to demonstrate it. Anyway, pressure. Pressure can only be pressure when there is a continuous physical force exerted on or against an object by something in contact with it. And now here, there is no pressure pushing on that suction cup in any manner. When I create the vacuum, its weight stays the same, and there's a vacuum in there. I create and procure adhesion through suction. you can see, let's do it again. There's the toilet paper. There's the toilet paper. Now anything I do to that, even touch it, it'll move. If I blow on it, it'll fly off. You see, now I gotta, you catching on yet, any of you? Now, it's 10 grams. Now I push down to push out the oxygen to create a vacuum, and it weighs the same. And I've just procured adhesion. There's nothing pushing down. There's nothing moving the toilet paper. Because what they teach us is not true. Oh, I'm out of time. I will leave the definition of suction underneath the video. You review it.